guys, so Scout's going to join us today in this video. So today we are doing the seated spinal twist. If I attempt to, I'm going to butcher the name of it. So down in the description, you'll see the name, the correct spelling, and if you want to Google the pose, definitely feel free to go and do so. But like I said, I'd butcher it if I even tried. But this is a great spinal twist because it's challenging because you have kind of a half lotus position in one leg, you're twisting and then looking back. So there's a lot of stuff going on. But once you can soften into the pose, it just kind of there's an integration of the entire body that happens once you get in and kind of settle into the pose. That just kind of brings a sense of calming and relief to the body and mind. So this is why I really enjoy this pose here. So let's go through this again. I'll talk through some of the main alignment cues that I want you guys to focus on, and then we'll hit some modifications because this is a little bit more of a challenging pose. There are some great modifications for you guys as well. All right, so to walk through this, one side of the body is going to be in hero's pose. You can't split one leg in half, can you? So I'm going to take my right leg in hero's pose, right? So that's, the shin kind of off to the side. And then the opposite leg is going to be in a half lotus pose. So once I get here, I want to make sure the back rim of my pelvis stays lifted. I'm not dropping down and rounding my shoulders back and coming into computer desk pose, right? So I'm keeping the back of my pelvis lifted. So that's one main alignment cue I want you to focus on. That's going to allow a better rotation of your thigh bone for this front leg. So then I'm just going to help my foot up into the crease of my right hip. And then from there, I'm really activating my knees down to help keep that lift of the back of my pelvis. My left foot is staying flexed, so my toes are active to help strain from my knee. And then as I come into twist, I kind of help the twist. And then sometimes even I kind of help my left hand come around, and then I hook my big toe. Sometimes I lean forward to really get a good connection, and then I come back, still anchoring down through my knees, so that's alignment 2. So back rim of the pelvis lifting up, knees and legs active, so including their feet here. And then as I turn and twist, I start by looking behind me to get the rotation, but then I turn my head back to my right shoulder. And again, the last alignment cue I want you to focus on is taking the shoulder blades forward into your chest. So as you're twisting, there is a mini little back bend happening. So my core is lifting, my chest is lifting, my shoulders are broad. All right, and then slowly come out, release your foot. All right, so the three, I gave you a handful of cues to work on, but the 3 main ones I really want for people first coming into this pose to really pay attention to is keeping the back rim of your pelvis up. So you're not dropping down into computer desk pose. Once you're situating your legs, I really want those legs to be active. So they're anchoring down into the floor. Your feet are active. So you're trying to flex. Sometimes people call it flointing, where the foot is pointing, but the toes are flexing. So whatever feels best in the body when you're working this pose, either completely flexing your foot or keeping the foot pointed but flexing your toes. All right, and then the back activation to bring in a nice broad chest is kind of lifting the shoulders and shrugging them back to get that nice twist. All right, so back rim of the pelvis up, legs active and anchoring into the ground. And then the third one is shrugging shoulders, pulling back to keep a nice broad open body, open chest, I mean. All right, so now that we got the alignment cues, even if you are going to modify the pose, those 3 alignment cues do follow through the rest of these modifications. All right, so I'm going to flip sides because this side is a little bit more restricted for me, so I'm going to use the modifications for this side. So I'm going to get my left leg into hero's pose. And this first one, if you have a yoga block or a stack of books and you're starting to come into half lotus, you almost have that range of motion there, but when you get your foot up into the hip crease, your knee just kind of hangs out there in limbo land. You can't quite anchor that knee down into the ground. So that's where a stack of books or a yoga block comes in. So now I can anchor my knee down into the ground. I can come into my twist and finish the pose. My feet are active. I shrug my shoulders and I pull them back. And then I look back towards my left shoulder. And this way I'm not straining my left knee by having it just hang out there in the midst of nowhere, right? My knee is able to anchor into something. All right, another modification that you can have usually works better with a soft folded blanket or a pillow is if you're in this position and you get your knee down, but you're kind of like tilted off to the side. I know it kind of sounds a little backwards, but take the pillow underneath your lifted hip because that's what you need something to anchor in down. So once that hip feels something, you can get the hip to drop a little bit more because you can anchor into something. And then it helps open up the rest of the pose. And again, finishing off by twisting, shrugging the shoulders, and turning back, right? So those are two modifications. The last one is if this leg is just not doing half lotus by any means, you're like, nope, not going to happen. That's okay. How I'm sitting here, this is a great modification. So instead of taking your foot up onto your thigh, you just take it to your thigh and keep it on the ground. You can do the same twist this way and then turn back. The other option too is to stack your thighs off to the side so they'll kind of be staggered. Then the top foot is going to rest in the arch of the bottom foot. All right, so I'll stay seated this way. You can kind of see how my feet are stacked here. And then on this one, I'm not going to look back towards my shoulder. I'm just going to spin and turn and look back in this variation. All right, guys. So 3 main alignment cues. Back rim of the pelvis lifts. Second one, anchor your legs down and keep your feet active. Third one, shrug and pull back the shoulders to keep a nice open chest. Modifications, block underneath the half lotus knee to anchor down into something. If you're tipping off to the side, the hip that's lifting up off the ground, put something underneath that side of the hip. Second, don't do half lotus and just come, I like to call this a Z shape in my legs, a Z sit. You can do this one or a little bit more closed-legged as well. All great modifications to pretty much do the same pose. All right, guys, play around with this. Let me know how it goes. Take me on social media so I can see how you're doing. Use the comments to ask any questions or make any comments. Obviously, that's what the comment section is for. And otherwise, if you do want to have a little bit more one-on-one private session, I do hold Zoom meetings online. I do have a lot of weekly Zoom classes online too, and I also have an online studio. So if a regular scheduled class doesn't quite work and you need a little bit more flexibility, I do have an online yoga studio option where you can do yoga anytime, anywhere. All that information is below in the description. Check that out. Reach out to me and I'll be happy to get you all set up. All right, have a great rest of your day and I will see you soon. Namaste.